Today, I'm going to be telling you guys why you shouldn't use certain electric vehicles in races in GTA Online. I know a lot of you guys probably already know why, but I'm going to be showing you guys exactly why in this video, so I hope you go on to enjoy it. And with that said, let's jump into things. Now, for some reason, Rockstar decided to make two different types of electric vehicles, some that are affected by this and some that aren't. For example, the Virtue and the Tesseract. The Tesseract is not affected by this thing, but the Virtue and a couple other electric vehicles are affected by it. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, well, it's probably easier for me to just show it. So here we have both vehicles at the top of this ramp. Now, the Virtue's acceleration is great, which allows it to get to the bottom of the ramp at the same time as the Tesseract, but the Tesseract hits a much higher top speed. And as you can see, the Virtue is much lower to the ground than the Tesseract is, meaning the Tesseract will end up traveling a much further distance. This is where the Virtue lands, and by the way, I did actually upgrade these cars fully in terms of performance modifications, so engine, suspension, transmission, turbo tuning, all that kind of stuff. So now that you saw that, let's put the Virtue side by side to some other cars, like for example, a really shitty car, like the Asea, or however you pronounce it. Once again, this car is fully upgraded in terms of performance modifications. You can see the Virtue definitely beat it to the end of the ramp, obviously, but the Asea, since it has a combustion engine, or because Rockstar made it this way, is still going to travel a whole lot further than the Virtue does. You see where the Virtue lands, and you see where the Asea lands, all the way over here. In certain races, Rockstar makes the jumps exactly long enough so pretty much every car is able to just barely clear the gap. But for some reason, certain electric cars are able to do it and some aren't, no matter what you do, because the Virtue has a set top speed of 121 or 122 miles per hour, and you won't be able to surpass that no matter what. Another electric vehicle affected by this is the Neon. It handles really well, it has great acceleration, it gets down the ramp fairly quickly, but once again, it just doesn't hit a high enough top speed to travel the distance of pretty much any other vehicle in the game. Like I said, I'm not sure why Rockstar decided to do this. Here's an example of an electric vehicle that doesn't have this effect, the Buffalo EVX. It's just like the Tesseract, it is electric, but for some reason, it can still travel the distance it needs to. So just be warned, there are a few electric cars that you just won't be able to get that far with, and most likely won't be able to complete the race because of it. Here's another example of it, but with the Uach Oracle. Because the Virtue's acceleration, it gets down that ramp quick as hell. But you notice the Uach Oracle manages to almost catch up right at the very end, and still manages to travel way further than the Virtue does. I remember I was in a race one time with just one of my friends because stunt races just came out, or it was a new set of stunt races or something like that. Either way, we literally were not able to clear a jump because we were both using, I think it was the Neon at the time, and we literally had to quit the race because we could not beat it. Even if you did Splitstream, it has no effect on it because the car has a set top speed for some reason, but it doesn't happen with all electric vehicles. But from what I've tested, it happens to most of the electric vehicles in the game. Things like the Buffalo EVX and the Tesseract are just exempt from it for some reason. Like here is a Coil Cyclone versus an Issy. As you can see, the Issy is much higher and travels a much further distance than the Cyclone does. Of course, that's because it has a set top speed and just will not surpass that. So it's another vehicle that you wouldn't be able to clear certain gaps with in races. And here it is with the Omnis EGT. Now, the Omnis EGT actually hit a speed of like 135 miles per hour compared to some of the other electric vehicles. They only hit like 120, 122, but for some reason it still ends up landing pretty much exactly where the Coil Cyclone did. It's just funny how an Issy would be able to clear a gap like this, but, you know, very fast performance electric vehicles wouldn't be able to. So if you're ever going to do some stunt races in GTA Online, I'd highly recommend avoiding some of the vehicles I just mentioned in this video because you never know when you're going to need to clear a gap and then you might not make it. You could be in first the whole race and end up getting a DNF because you just can't clear the gap in that specific vehicle. Let me know some other vehicles down below that you guys know of that are affected by this and ones that aren't. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And with that said, I will catch you guys in the next one.